Well, I recognise that I've already done a video comparing the Apple Watch Series 2 Nike Plus Edition to the Garmin Fenix 3 HR, but there's one additional feature which I would like to talk about, having used the Apple Watch Series 2 for a bit more and having run with it in some different situations. And a feature which I think is a deal breaker for me as a keen runner, and get straight to it, that is the touchscreen. Now, I've also done a review which you may want to look at, which looks at the Sun 2 Spartan Ultra against the Garmin Fenix 3, and again there were touchscreen issues there, but the touchscreen issues here are quite remarkable. Now, of course, you've got obviously access to your running facilities via the touchscreen, which is great. Off it goes, run, and if you want to stop running, well, you've got to double tap like that, and then you choose whether you want to carry on or choose whether you want to stop. And that's great, unless of course it's raining, or unless of course you ever sweat on your hands, or of course if you're ever wearing wet clothing. And those things are absolute deal breakers. Yes, you can stop it under either of those situations, but it's not reliable. I found that going out for a run recently and my t-shirt got wet, and if the watch brushed against the t-shirt, I found it would pause on occasion. So it would pause the timer, which if you don't notice that is absolutely ridiculous. And then when I was trying to do some fast splits where you've got to stop fairly quickly, I was also finding that on occasions it was very difficult to stop the stopwatch in any reliable way. You can't revert to the buttons because the buttons are there for different uses. So if I set it off again for you now, beginning workout, and if I try and start or stop with that button, what you'll find is it takes you back to the time. If I try and use the other button, it takes you back to the app switcher, the dock, if you like. So you've got to use the screen. And on more than one occasion, as I've said, even when it's sat there perfectly dry, it's very difficult to use reliably. Now, if you're in a situation where you want your splits to be very accurate and you want your timing to be very accurate and there's any moisture around, it's almost impossible to get that, and it's just not reliable. And so for me, that I didn't mention it in my other video simply because I wasn't too sure whether it was just me not using it properly, not getting used to it, but I've used it a lot since then, and it turns out it's not me. The touchscreen just doesn't work for accurate running implications. Now, maybe you're a casual runner and maybe you don't mind if it's a couple of seconds plus and minus here and there, and that's okay with you, in which case fine, go for it. But if you want keen splits, you've got to have solid, robust buttons that you can't miss, and buttons which are definitely pressed when they're pressed and they're not when they're not. And you get that with the Garmin Fenix 3 HR and lots of other watches, admittedly, but between the two of them, I just cannot have the touchscreen. Now, some people might say, well, of course you can disable the touchscreen. Well, yes, you can, but that means after you've started running, you have to disable the touchscreen, which again is another effort while you're running. And then before you want to stop, you've got to twiddle the bezel, hoping that that'll work. And even once you've done that, you still can't guarantee that any stop interaction will in fact be as effective as you want it to be. Workout completed. There we go. So from that point of view, I've got to say the touchscreen just doesn't work for running. There is no alternative to use the buttons. So irrespective of all the positive things I said and how close I was in my other video to really giving this a serious go and getting rid of my Garmin Fenix 3, absolutely no way, because from my point of view as a serious runner, it's just not a workable solution. If in fact you've found a way around that, or if I've missed something, please let me know in the comments below. If this has helped you, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe. Both those two things, the thumbs up and the subscribe, really make a big difference. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this has been helpful.